Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Frank and Candid. It's a good-looking Tuesday morning. Hope all is well. Thank you for joining me. I'm Tony Nias, and we begin as per usual with what's in the news. And let's go to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The first set of licenses to begin producing medicinal cannabis in St. Vincent and the Grenadines was issued last week, while the island's Minister of Agriculture and Industry embraced the milestone, noting many challenges amidst immense opportunity. The approved medicinal cannabis licenses are as follows: 8 local farmers, producers, cooperative with an aggregated membership of over 100 traditional cultivators, 13 traditional cultivators of cannabis who applied individually, 3 non-traditional local farmers, 10 companies with the directorship of nationals from the OECS, CARICOM, North America, Europe, and Africa. Of these companies, there are at least 3 with licenses that are valuing $2.67 million EC dollars. In addition to supplying the local demand, these companies have identified markets in CARICOM, North America, and Europe for export of high-quality medicinal cannabis that meet international standards. The journey over the past 20 months to put the legislative and administrative frameworks in place was certainly one of the most difficult yet gratifying tasks I have had the opportunity to lead in my career. It was not without major challenges, so says the Agriculture Minister. The Medicinal Cannabis Authority, acting on the advice of the Cabinet, will subsequently announce the date for the operationalization of the Cannabis Cultivation Act. Sensitization meetings will recommence July 24th, 2019, to update the general public of activities taking place within the medicinal cannabis industry. Stakeholders in the industry were encouraged to set extremely high standards in research and development, marketing, labor relations, environmental protection, and general corporate responsibility. There you go. St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the move out front with the cannabis industry shortly. Back home, St. Kitts and Nevis. The strength of the St. Kitts and Nevis passport has seen the Federation's key travel document being ranked first within the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, or OECS. The St. Kitts and Nevis passport has also been ranked 26th worldwide, according to a recent passport index that uses data from the International Air Transport Association, or IATA. That index assesses how many destinations one can enter with a certain passport without needing pre-departure visa. A holder of a St. Kitts and Nevis passport can boast of being able to visit 152 countries and territories visa-free or with a visa upon arrival. Foreign Affairs Minister Mark Brantley is on record as saying that the Federation is committed to making the St. Kitts and Nevis passport the most powerful in all of the Caribbean and Latin America. Antigua and Barbuda's passport ranks 2nd in the OECS and 29th globally. Japan and Singapore have topped the 2019 list of the world's most powerful passports, according to Henley Passport Index. The two are said to have the world's most travel-friendly passport. Kudos to St. Kitts and Nevis and its passport, ranking number 1 in the OECS as far as travel visa-free. Okay, that's what's in the news.
Where badness I go? Chop. Ball over bullets, that me a say. Me a talk to the whole of SP. Ball over bullets, that me a say. Play some ball, done with the gunplay. Peace or war youths, which one you rather? Done with the war now, let's get together. Hurt my heart when we kill one another. Why we a fight and do that we a brother? Come from the slums and we born in the gutter. Life so hard from me born, me a suffer. Strive for your goals, them a that you fi go for. Crime and the violence that we had enough of. Try prove a point and you want say you tougher. Next thing me hear fear say you're gone in a gutter. Mama saw bad, she can't take the pressure. One fi see things get better. Chop, ball over bullets, that me a say. Me a talk to the whole of SP. Ball over bullets, that me a say. Play some ball, done with the gunplay. Ball over bullets, that me a say.
Hi everyone, my name is Ian Quilly, Commissioner of Police to our St. Christopher Nevis Police Force. Guns ruins lives, families and our communities. What's your game plan?
Ball over bullets. Hurt my heart when we kill one another. Why we are fight and all we are brother. Come from the slums and we born in the gutter.
Let me say good morning and welcome to my good friend Kalonji. Kalonji, talk to me. Tell me why you're here and tell me about your engagement with Pan-Africanism.
Thank you, Brother Nias. We go way back, you know what I'm saying? And it's a pleasure to be here at ZIZ this beautiful morning, Tuesday morning, to inform our people about the whole idea of what Pan-Africanism is all about. Well, I'd just like to greet all the Africans here at home and those abroad in the diaspora, wherever our African family is. I'd just like to say greetings, one love, and like I said, this morning we come to discuss the whole question of Pan-Africanism. I'd just like to start by saying what Granny said. Africans unite. African unity. One African people. One African parliament. One African economy. One African passport. One African language and reparation now. I'm a member of the African Consciousness Movement right here in Sweet Liamiga, better known as St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, this morning discussion, I'd just like to start off with a quote from His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie on African unity. Unity is the accepted goal. Today, we look to the future calmly, confidently and courageously. We look to the vision of an Africa not merely free but united. In facing this new challenge, we can take comfort and encouragement from the lessons of the past. We know that there are differences among us. Africans enjoy different cultures, distinct values, special attributes. But we also know that unity can be and has been attained amongst men of the most desperate origin. That differences of race, of religion, of culture, of tradition are no inseparable obstacles to the coming together of peoples. History teaches us that unity is strength and cautions us to submerge and overcome our differences in the quest for common goals, to strive with all our combined strength for the path of true African brotherhood and unity. Now that is a quote from His Imperial Majesty. And as we continue, I'd just like to state here, this is a brief overview of Pan-Africanism. There is no society without culture, and consequently without civilization. There is neither superior nor inferior civilization. Each people, proceeding from their culture, using their intellectual, moral and physical capabilities, come to master nature and their history. This forward march is eternal, following the principles laid down by the people themselves, based on their understanding and action. In following this universal law, Africa has given her actions a guiding set of humanist principles. Now, a definition of what Pan-Africanism is. Pan-Africanism is the philosophy that encourages the unification of people of African descent worldwide. In the 20th century, Pan-Africanism emerged as a political movement. In 1900, the Trinidadian barrister Henry Sylvester Williams called a conference that took place in Westminster Hall, London, to protest stealing of lands in the colonies, racial discrimination, and deal with other issues of interest to blacks. This conference drafted a letter to the Queen of England and other European rulers, appealing to them to fight racism and grant independence to their colonies. African-American scholar and writer W.E.B. Du Bois, who convened the first Pan-African Congress in 1919 in Paris, France. Again, it demanded independence for African nations. Further congresses essentially extended meetings of like-minded Africans searching for a way forward. were held in 1921 in London, Brussels, Paris, 1923 London, and Lisbon, 1927 New York. Second Pan-African Congress, 1921 London. Third Pan-African Congress, 1923 London. Fourth Pan-African Congress, 1927 New York. The most significant was the Fifth Congress held in Manchester in 1945. For the first time, a large number of Africans from the continent were present, and the meeting provided impetus and momentum for the numerous post-war independence movement. This Congress also reserved the right of the colonized, once peaceful methods had been exhausted, to use force to take forward their struggle for self-determination. Just over a decade later, in 1958, Kwame Nkrumah, first leader of independent Ghana, called a meeting in the capital city, Accra, of all the independent African states, Egypt, Sudan, Libya, Tunisia, Liberia, Morocco, and Ethiopia, in order that they should recommit themselves to supporting independence for the rest of the continent. I'll just stay here for now and we could continue.
Okay, that's a good time to let's hear from our sponsor, and when we come back, we'll pick up our conversation and hear about Pan-Africanism. Welcome back. Thanks to Peter Tosh there for speaking the truth. All right, Pan-Africanism is our discussion this morning, and I have Kalunji here with me in studio. And here's what I want to do, Kalunji. I know your focus is us here in the Western world and our unification as a people. However, I want to go to the continent for a minute, and I know more likely there's that discussion on Pan-Africanism on the continent. And I'm just curious about Pan-Africanism on the continent and how realistic it is and how much of a struggle it is with the fact that there is the consideration of sovereignty for each of these states, and how do you get to a unified Africa, a unified parliament, one government, one people, with everybody concerned about each individual state sovereignty?
Well, basically, the process started way back. I think it was in, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, when Ghana got its independence.
Mm-hmm.
Like I read before, he convened a meeting of all the African states, and basically the whole concept of African unity, African union, is nothing new. It's a process that has been going on for about more than 50 years. Now, the independent African states at that time, you had two groups. I think you had the Casablanca group and you had another group. Now, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's position was that we should strive vigorously, and all the African states that was independent at the time must move forward to show a form of unity amongst them, so you could set an example for the other states. But that didn't happen at that time, and the process, like I said, have been continuing over the years. Now, I don't know if you know that there's an African Parliament, African Union Parliament in Africa. All right, and like I said, and we discussed before, these discussions have been going on. Now, it's not an easy task, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But like we said before, on the continent, these discussions are happening. Now, we here who are in the Caribbean are the 6th region of the African Union. Okay? The 200 million of us in the Western world. So we are saying that those Africans on the continent and we here in the Western world should come together to form the African Union. Now, in South Africa in particular, I don't know if you heard of the EFF. Brother Julius Malema is the head of the EFF, and the elections just passed in South Africa. They increased the seats in Parliament, and he has been calling for the unification of African people and one African Parliament and one African government. That has been the EFF mantra. So we are saying that these things are taking place on the continent, especially in the southern part of Africa, because we see what is going on in Zimbabwe. The United States is stiffening its sanctions on Zimbabwe, just like what is occurring in Venezuela.
Right.
The same process is taking place. So when we look at the whole scheme of things in terms of African people in the world in general, we are saying now, the brothers on the continent who are calling for unification, and we who are here in the Western world, we are putting this idea forward that the only solution to our problem as African people is the unification of all of us, not only those on the continent, but we who are here in the diaspora.
It sounds, okay, let's talk about the Western world and our unification. Sounds like, what should I say, a construct. What exactly would that look like for us if we were to achieve that ideal? What are we looking for? What does it look like?
Well, basically, in the Western world now, there's 200 million of us, okay? We have 40 million plus in the United States. We have at least 60 million plus in Brazil. And then the rest here when spread out to the Caribbean. We are saying now, we are proclaiming the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa. Because this is the Western world, this is the new so-called new world. We are Africans, we are new Africans in the new world. So we are calling for one unification, we're proposing a provisional government. Now we know we have CARICOM, we have OECS. We are putting these ideas forward to quicken up the process of the unification, not only of the OECS and CARICOM, but Africans in the Western world in general. Because we must also realize that the most advanced Africans in the world is those in the United States, the 40 million plus in the United States. And we have to show solidarity, especially with those 40 million in the United States, because we could see the oppression and the brutalization that is taking place. And the more we support, we give to them, because they're in the belly of the beast. The most advanced nation in the world is the United States. And as we show solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the United States, they could struggle. Their struggle in the United States will quicken up the process of the unification of the 200 million of us in the Western world. So we have to coordinate our ideas and come up with solutions to solve problems that is germane to all of us in the Western world.
But isn't the ideal that we're trying to achieve, isn't there some prerequisites though that at least these people that we're talking about, whether they be in South America, the United States, in the Caribbean region here, Jamaica, what have you, isn't there a prerequisite though that if you're going to move forward on that, they all have to accept this as a goal themselves?
Exactly.
And accept us, each other?
Exactly, because what I'm saying basically is that as the situation is right now, you know, we like to deal with our own individual so-called independence. So I'm Jamaican.
Right.
I'm St. Lucian.
Exactly.
I'm Grenadian. But we have a common problem as a common denominator amongst us. All of us was enslaved. You know, the car boat come every month and it drops off cars in different location or different islands. It's the same process took place when the slave ship came. They just dropped us off in different islands or in different locations. So we are saying, we are calling for unification of all of us because we suffer from a common problem. We have a common exploiter. a common discriminator. You understand? And a common economic problem. Basically, coming out of slavery, where our labor was used to build up the most rich countries in the world, whether they're in Europe or in North America. So we are not only calling for the unification of all of us, but we are also calling for reparations. Because our labor was exploited, we were not paid, the slave master were paid, and we who contributed our skills and our labor was not compensated. So we have to talk about also reparations for our labor that produce the most richest countries in the world today.
Well, even on the issue of reparations, that discussion is ongoing, and just recently there are some examples of even some of our own making the argument when it comes to reparation that, well, one day say, well, what reparations? I mean, that's done gone. I was not enslaved, and you know, that's a different people. I mean, they're actually African people of African descent who take that position. So there is an uphill battle, at least, to even get people on the same page who are of the same culture, of the same descent, when it comes to these issues.
Well, like anything else, my brother, you know, we're going to always have those people among us. That's nothing new, you know what I'm saying? But history teaches us, right, that when you check the record, our people were enslaved and they were not compensated. And slavery was a crime against humanity. So there is no, what I'm saying, there is no limit in terms of crimes against humanity. So even though the people who you say who was in slavery was not compensated, we are the descendants.
I agree. Yeah.
If they wasn't here, we couldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? So basically, that when you look at the whole question of reparations, the state of Israel, when the Jews were in concentration camps in Germany, the state of Israel was not established. The state of Israel were compensated and was established based on compensation from Germany. And a lot of the people who was in concentration camps were put in ovens and burned. There was no wrong, but Israel were compensated. We are the descendants of our enslaved ancestors. So we who here should be compensated.
Okay, got you. Okay, moving forward. What are the efforts that are in place to bring together all these different groupings, as you mentioned? You have a set in the U.S., a set in South America, a set here in the region. What kind of efforts are in place now as we speak and going forward to see if we can bring these all together with our common interest?
Like I said before, like, as we proclaim the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa, there's people people like me everywhere. You understand? So we're gonna be linking up with these people, putting our ideas forward to move forward to reason, you know, discuss these ideas and bring it all together, because it's an idea to force our leadership to come to the same understanding as us. You see, because we're talking about a narrative that when we spread, because we're operating on the whole notion of the question of ideas, because what we are talking about here today, it seems strange to a lot of people, but the only solution to our problems is through unification of all of us.
Well, a provisional government, yes, to a lot of people, a provisional government, even just thinking of the concept, it seems strange.
Exactly.
So, I mean, how do you get to these people to show them what this particular construct will look like? I mean, you admitted, I mean, we all admit it looks strange.
Exactly.
It seems strange.
Exactly. But here's where we're starting off with.
Yes.
the Nguzo Sabo, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa.
Okay.
7 days a week, we have a principle that we could deal with in order to share ideas and be serious about what we are talking about. Umoja means unity. To strive and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Umoja means staying together. Kujichagulia, self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Instead of being defined, named, created for, and spoken for by others. Kujichagulia is saying who we are and who we will be, and not letting others say for us. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and make our sisters and brothers problems our problems, and to solve our problems together. Ujima means working together and helping each other. Ujama, cooperative economics, that is very important. To build and maintain our stores, our shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Ujama means buying from each other. Nia, purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Nia means making our people as great as they can be. Kuomba, creativity, to do always as much as we can, in the way we can, in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. Kuomba means thinking of ways to make our community better. The last one is Imani, faith. To believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Imani means believing in ourselves and the worth of our people. So that's just a basic guideline in order for us to move forward.
Okay. What we're going to do is we will open the discussions to those of you who want to call in, and you're willing to take some calls?
Definitely.
Okay. And the phone numbers are 465-2555. If you're calling out to North America, 718-577-2916. Kalunji is in the house, and we are speaking about Pan-Africanism. It's a worldwide movement, and we're focusing on Pan-Africanism here in the region. We also, from time to time, moving to the discussion on reparations and whatever else you feel that you want to engage Kalunji on.
But basically, Brother Nice, I want to make the point that when we're talking about citizens of the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa, every Joe in the world is a citizen of Israel.
Okay.
I want to let our people to know that. They don't even have to be born in Israel. You just have to say that you're a Jew, and you could prove that one of your parents have Jewish descent. Right? So every Jew in the world, except African Jews, I must say, in particular, right, is a citizen of the state of Israel.
Fine. Okay. So that leads me to the question then every African in the world will be a citizen of what state?
The provisional government of the Republic of New Africa.
We have a physical location of this?
No, but basically the whole Western world.
The whole Western world will become...
We're talking about Africans in the West.
That will become a state.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is that every community, everywhere we form a community in the Western world, is the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa.
But it doesn't look like the government of Israel. Because Israel actually has a physical space.
Exactly,
in
but
one place.
the continent is a physical space.
But we won't be in that. We will be citizens of Africa.
In general?
In general. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's a good time to, we'll take a break and we'll come back and take your calls and continue this discussion.
Whether you're at home or abroad, ZIZ's social media platforms help you stay connected with what's going on in St. Kitts and Nevis. Keep up with daily events by liking our Facebook page, Follow us on Twitter at ZBC Online. Like our pictures on Instagram and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. Also, you can watch us live on the ZIZ mobile app and our website, zizonline.com. No matter where you are, ZIZ is just a click away. ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, reaching you wherever you are.
All right, welcome back to Frank and Candid. This morning we're having a discussion with our own Kalunji here in studio on Pan-Africanism and all that involves. Let's go back to our conversation, and feel free to join us on the telephone if you want to make an input or converse with Kalunji. We're talking about a consciousness, an African consciousness here. And as we strive to develop or create this one African state, this unified African state, we have to deal with a lot of the individual stuff. I mean, because you have to begin with individuals, and you have to changing their mindset, and you have to change their mindset. You have to change, their whole thinking on this whole thing. We have a lot of people. I mean, I have been in heated discussions where people say, "I am not an African. I don't know what you're talking about. Me, an African." You understand what I'm saying? But think about that. Let's go to the phone lines and say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning,
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
I get a disappointment from you all in St. Kitty. But let me tell you something today. When it can happen now, you don't blame nobody, blame yourself. I get a disappointment. Because when you look, this little country here, and the good Lord give our government like Prime Minister Timothy Harris, bring the Taiwanese to help us in this country. Help our with our children. That's so much children in Taiwanese college. Give them their education. And we not hear none of you talking about that. None of you have praised that man there for that. None. But what are you come there this morning talking about this African that? What happened to the African? Are you born and make it there? Are you cannot change it? One person to change that is God. Because they don't offer hand. So me not see nowhere are you stop there. I'm talking about this from them there. Look after yourself. Look after your country. You all know how much teachers in this country is the government have to get the money to pay them? Get everything organized? None are you talking about the goodness that good man they do. Eh? If a government stop there 20 years, people suffering, and no boy you talk the goodness. This government they bring, I will stop there talking something else about African, this African, that, but I want to meet it, When I meet it, I don't blame nobody, blame myself. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, welcome to Frank and Candid.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and Queen Nzinga. Blessed are my beloved African brothers. How are you and your families?
Doing good. Yourself?
Good, 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 good.
All right.
Well, Kalonji.
Yes, greetings, my brother.
Hold up, beloved. Hold up. Now, brother, I'm saying here, it's a great idea. I mean, this idea has been there for over a century, and brother, like you rightfully said, Pan-African is like Edward Whitmore Blyden was from St. Thomas, beloved, but it was before the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And brother Dubois had, Dubois, as people do say, that's a thing named, Dutch name, so it's really pronounced Dubois. But and then came most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and others. And we must not forget those brothers out of Trinidad and Tobago. brothers like Giddens Granger, a.k.a. Macandal Dagger, and George Weeks, and the great Kwame Ture, a.k.a. Stokely Carmichael, and many others. And don't forget, Trinidad was the epic center of Pan-Africanism in the Caribbean in the 60s, 70s. Must not forget that. But let's go to what you're talking about, beloved brother. Brother, I am saying to him, when we ask for reparation, when we demand reparation, we must not forget the Arabs / Muslims who've been on our backs for over 3,000 long years. You know that, Brother Kalonji. I don't know if my good brother there, no, Brother Nias. And we have 5 African countries that is occupied by Arabs. Let me name them: Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Morocco, and Algeria. And let me say, a lot of people don't think this either. Israel is in Africa also. That is our country. And Brother Kalonji, I think you make a little mistake, you know. The only country that have more people, African people, than Nigeria have the most as a country, quote-unquote country, over 100 million. Then Brazil, who have 85 million African people in Brazil, over the 100 and something million people that they have in Brazil, then Ethiopia, beloved. But anyway, in the United States, over 50 million, Brother Kalonji. But, you know, so, but this great idea. But, Brother Kalonji, I will like to see, I'll be a part of this movement, beloved brother, but I want to see a collective leadership, beloved. Collective leadership must be a collective leadership, Brother Kalonji. And like I told you yesterday, sisters must be the backbone of that foundation. I am sick and tired of those brothers. And the sisters in the background, come on, you know, some brothers acting the same way the enslavers did to our sisters, brother. We cannot leave our sisters behind. Our sisters must walk hand in hand, side by side, step in step with us. Not in front of us, not behind us. Hand in hand, side by side, beloved brother. And our children also, we must deal with them. And Brother Kalonji, I tell you, like I told you yesterday, in this movement, we must form a political wing, our organization, any definition you want to say, because, brother, I am saying, you know, I support Team Unity and I support the People's Action Movement, but, brother, no party, no political party in St. Kitts Nevis have a Pan-Africanist philosophy, none whatsoever. I support them because, I mean, we got to use something as a bridge for them to help our people, and we demand that. But, brother, we must have a political movement in this dispensation, beloved. We must. Okay. Because if it, what you said, beloved?
No, I'm just saying, okay, go ahead, make your point, finish your point.
Yeah, so we must have that, you know, and we must, the economics part of it, we must have, like, businesses, major, I mean, we got to start somewhere, whether it's small, you know, or medium size, but eventually we must spread out our businesses, but the economic is part of it, not just political power. We must have political power and economic power also. Not just take crumbs, but we are sick and tired of just getting crumbs while others get 99.9 of the economic thing. No, we must do that, beloved brother. But brother, I'll continue to listen. And brother Kalonji, we're going to talk, but brother, we must get some sisters and brothers on board, and we need a collective leadership in this movement. Organization whatsoever, we must have that. Brother, I continue to listen. Brother Nice, you going to be here after 12?
No, not today.
Okay, beloved. Well, I continue to listen. Now, Brother Kalonji, we're going to talk, beloved.
Okay.
All right.
Pan-Africanism and perish. Well, no.
Okay, let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Good morning, Brother Nayas.
Good morning.
And good morning to Dr. Kalonji there.
Blessed love.
Okay.
You are doing a good job. Go to educate the black man about his history and where he come from. Kalonji, I want to commend you as a national of this country. You understand? Because to be truthful, you really try hard. You try to do it in the prison. You try to do it in the school and you fail. And I believe that our black children was educated towards the African-ism. Because there we come from. And if we don't know where we come from, we don't know where we're going. And I want to commend you on others. People like Ras Sankofa, Ras Kafu, and all those guys. You understand? Because we seem to mix up in different philosophy of, you like religions and all these things. And I believe that religion now is taking over, especially in the church faith. Because everybody is going in the church faith now just looking for dollar, looking for something. And you find no improvement in the people them. You find no improvement in the people and the people them still the same way. And I believe that if we get away from the political tribalism and just try to be as one, black people working to as one, as you say to the Kalonji, we get in touch with each other. We get in touch with black people in different parts of the world. You understand? Try to educate and try to know that where we come from as black people, we never reach nowhere. You all have a wonderful day. God bless.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Kalonji, any of that you want to respond to?
No, I'll just like to hear Brother Dan in New York and Brother Juport, Eric Juport,
Okay.
Just like to hear them up. But as we get back to the program, Brother Nias, that this struggle we just the continuation of our ancestors who started when in the first slave ship. This is the 400th anniversary of the first slave ship that came from Africa to the Western world, 1619 to 2019. And there's a special ceremony, but I wouldn't say ceremony, but acknowledgement in Ghana, for people who want to return. You understand? So that is going on, I think, here in the summertime in Ghana for people who want to return to acknowledge the first slave ship that came to the Western world with slaves. As we continue now, the question of economics, our people will have to start supporting their own businesses, particularly here in St. Kitts. We see what is taking place in the economic sphere, where we see a lot of what we call people coming in from overseas and dominating certain sectors of the economy. Now, when we were growing up as kids, our people dominate that economy, especially by buying and selling, shops and groceries and stuff like that. Now we see that it's changing. A change is taking place. Our people have to be conscious that we have to support our own. In the sense that we have a slogan, what Granny said, buy local. You understand? We have to start again supporting our own businesses, because that is very important as we talk about economics, because economics is very important. Now, when the whole question of slavery started, it wasn't based on race. You understand? It was based on economics. If you read Eric Williams' book, Capitalism and Slavery, the whole question of the enslavement of our people was based on economics. It had nothing to do with race. Racism was a result of that, because our oppressors had to come up with a justification to say the reason why we were enslaved. So that's why the whole question of racism is about today. So we are saying that economics is very important. We have to pull our resources together, because in struggling for the unification of our people, economics is very important.
Got you. Before we went to the call, I had thrown out the whole issue of our own people not even accepting that
They're
we were
African.
Africans, and people have heated discussions about that. I personally have witnessed heated discussions about that. People say, I am no African, I am a Kitishan, and period. You know, in the whole scheme of things, and whatever we're trying to achieve, we have to begin at that level, to bring about the consciousness. But we can go back to the phone lines, and then you can tackle that. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yes, Mr. Nias.
Yes, sir.
I'm on the program.
Yes, you are live. Go ahead.
Pleasant good day to you and to your host. Now, let me interject here. Of all the books that I have in my possession, there are two books that are always in easy reach of me. One is the Bible, and the other is a dictionary. From the Bible, I would read 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. All scripture is given by inspiration of God, and it is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, and for instruction in righteousness. You, the people of God, may be perfect and thoroughly furnished unto all of God's works. Now, according to geography, Mr. Nias, geography of the world, we learn that there are 5 continents, namely Europe, Asia, Africa, North, Central, and South America, and Australia. According to the dictionary, a European is a person born in Europe. In Asia, an Asian. In Africa, an African. But when you look at what is said about the African, it also says that an African is a dark-skinned person. No, it did not say a black person. For whatever reason, I don't know, but it did not say that. It says an African is a dark-skinned person. Now let me move on. It says for America, American, for Australia, Australian. Now, it is quite strange that when we speak of Africa in modern times, a lot of us are speaking of Africa as being a country. Africa is not a country. The only portion of Africa that has Africa's name in it is South Africa, and it is the southernmost tip of the continent. So that all of the other countries have their status of patriotism to every one of them. Whether it is Sudan, you are Sudanese, Nigeria, you are Nigerian, and so forth, so forth. I'm not going to take up any time to name them all out. But for us to be talking about Africa as a country, we are very wrong in doing so. Now, in Africa, there are some 36 countries out of the 50 or 53 or so on the continent that are part of the Commonwealth of Great Britain. But we in St. Kitts Nevis are also a member of the Commonwealth. But I don't hear people talk about the influence that the Queen has on those 36 African countries and for the assistance that is given to those African countries. But I don't know why they seem to think that being a member of the Commonwealth of which the Queen is head is of no moment. for them. Now, we know that the world has two dispensations. The first dispensation of the world lasted for a little over 5,000 years. 5,000. This dispensation in which we now live, we are only 2019. Only 2019. So when you look at what life was in the first dispensation, reading the Bible, it tells you life was very robust. Very, very robust. And slavery was a part of that life. So that, what are we talking about when it comes to slavery? Slavery still exists today. Look up the dictionary and see what slavery means. It says a person who is beholden to his master for sustenance and for upkeep. Now, we know that in those early years, money was a scarce commodity. So that is why you had to be beholden to your master for sustenance and for upkeep. But it is still happening in our world today. As a matter of fact, not too far from us, you have people lining up going to the government for food, for supper, for breakfast, lunch, and supper, because of what the problem there is with work. So that, I don't know, but we must be very true to ourselves. Now, I'm going to close up now because I don't want to be saying I'm speaking too long.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, the truth about all of this is that as a people, we must understand that God is the creator of the universe. And there is where we must take all our problems to get the correct guidance for finding the proper solutions. And so when we speak about, let's take it. When you look at the number of persons that leave our country, go overseas to live, to find work and to be better people. If you are talking about reparation, where those people come into the picture? It doesn't mean you're just talking about reparation for those who live on St. Kitts.
Okay, Carlo, we're going to have to wrap up this now. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Okay. Thanks for your input. Kalonji, any of that you want to?
Well, you asked a question about, our people like to say that we are not Africans, and we had a caller here demonstrating that basically. And I want to know, the little Chinese kids who born here, what we call them? Chinese. They came here just like we came here. They came here by plane, we came by ships. So we are saying, we are certain that we are an African people. Now you can't tell me, if I take a sheep to Guadeloupe and that sheep produce more sheep, is that a sheep anymore? It's from Guadeloupe then. Nationality doesn't define who we are. It's our identity. You could go anywhere in the world and see Africans, look like Africans anywhere in the world. Because, for instance, when the slave ship came, he had families on the same ship, but one might be dropped off in Antigua, one in Jamaica, one in Barbados. It's the same people, one in Cuba. So I can't understand. The reason why it's so difficult for people to identify with Africa is because what has been implanted in us from our slave master. So we don't want to be associated with nothing that is disparaging, that is downgrading us as a people. But we are who we are. We are an African people, and it's as simple as that.
All right. Well, we're coming to the end of the program. Anything you want to leave us with?
Yes.
As we...
I'd just like to sum up by saying, with the words of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Gav, history is the landmark by which we are directed into the true course of life. The history of a movement, the history of a nation, the history of a race is the guidepost of that movement's destiny, that nation's destiny, that race destiny. What you do today that is worthwhile inspires others to act at some future time. Chance has never yet satisfied the hope of a suffering people. Action, self-reliance, the vision of self, and the future have been the only means by which the oppressed have seen and realized the light of their own freedom. There is nothing in the world common to man that man cannot do. You understand? A race without authority and power is a race without respect.
All right. Okay. And that's going to do it for us. The Pan-African discussion will continue. It's a worldwide movement. It's an ideal we're trying to strive for, and it will continue. That's going to do it for me today. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your calls. I'm Tony Nias. Until next time on Frank and Candid.